But what I want to do is let's play a little bit of the news conference when he got arrested, just to level set everybody. And I know plenty of you have probably already seen this, but it's a good point to kick off the discussion, right? Come here. There you go.
We know who was on the scene, and we will be contacting and reaching out and finding those individuals. This is a murder. And if you left because you were afraid or whatnot, I don't know the motivation. But you do have to come forward and give us some information. And that could come through grand jury and penal as well. So,
was Takeoff the intended target, or was he at the wrong place?
We already, it's definitely wrong place at the wrong time. No evidence whatsoever to say anything different. Go ahead. I'll get you.
Peacefully, can you tell us about African?
I'm sorry.
Peacefully, could you tell us about African?
Oh, yes, the actual arrest of him, yeah, peacefully. And I'm not bragging, but I send this message to our criminals. We're going to come and get you. And we come and get you professionally, but we come in force with everything. So we know who was on.
Now, that was the police chief about a week ago.
On the scene. And
the story right here. Now, in the headline of the story, it says, Takeoff's murder occurred after punch was thrown in Quavo's defense, says affidavit. So somebody threw a punch. Like, we thought it was maybe a slight scuffle, maybe even some pushing, but it looks like somebody actually threw a punch. And they've got documents from the case file, allegedly, that these journalists from New York, somebody from the New York Times or something, put out there that details what went down and actually who wrote a statement so far. So let's actually look at some of that. This is page right here. Says new details. This is him right here. And he says New York Times music reporter. And he's got a book that he's selling about rap. Now, Joe Coscarelli, I want to say his name is. It says new details in the killing of Takeoff from a search warrant affidavit filed this week. Both sides allegedly fired shots after a punch was thrown in defense of Quavo. Suspect charged in part because of fingerprints left on a wine bottle he was holding during the shooting. Now, this is the document right here. Right here. And it tells the story about what happened. So let's look at this. It says investigators obtained video surveillance from the bowling alley and other area businesses. So they got surveillance video from the bowling alley outside of that facility and the other businesses around there. You know what I mean? If you look, it was kind of like on this plateau where there were other businesses, and then there was a street level down there, and that's where the bowling alley was situated, right? It says we also received multiple cell phone videos capturing various angles and portions of the event. Your affiant, has thoroughly reviewed all of the aforementioned videos, which individually capture different perspectives of events before, during, and after the shooting. Review of the various videos revealed the following. Okay, so basically, the person who made this statement, the affiant, they have thoroughly reviewed the person who's reviewing this. They reviewed all the videos that were captured by all these different entities, right? You have cell phone videos. You have the videos in different angles from the businesses or whatever. And in that, they found this. It says there is a total of approximately 34 individuals standing in a group outside the bowling alley immediately before the shooting. The complainant's fellow group member, Quavius Marshall, aka Quavo, was arguing with the man later identified as Michael Prince. Now, Michael Prince is the guy who he was arguing with. Now, Michael Prince, I'm wondering, is that one of Jay? I'm pretty sure he might have some sort of relation to Jay Prince. But let's continue. Now it says, and two young black males, one small wearing a yellow hooded shirt, later identified as Cameron Joshua. Now, the guy in the yellow hooded shirt is Lil Cam. We've talked about him before. And a larger male wearing a white or light tan hooded sweatshirt, later identified as Christopher Watkins. Now, Christopher Watkins, we haven't seen his name out there yet. He hasn't been arrested, I don't believe. There's no paperwork out there yet on him or anything. So, man, let's see where this leads. Now, video evidence obtained showed that Quavo and those two younger men had all been involved in a dice game inside the bowling alley, and the Affiance investigation indicated that they were arguing outside because the two young men had won money in the game. After an initial physical confrontation between the two groups, Joshua appears to be struck by an individual later identified as Willie Bland. Now, Willie Bland, a lot of people are saying that's Migo Benz. I'm not sure if it is or not, but let's continue. Now it says, who investigation revealed was associated with Quavo. Two different males can be identified as firing weapons from different directions during the incident, one which is Willie Bland. Now, Willie Bland, they're saying is this guy right here, Migo Benz. Now they're saying it was an affiliate of Quavo, and as you can see on Migo Band's page, it's so many pictures of him and Quavo, man. And they're saying that's him right there. I see a guy right there. You see the guy right there with the brown shirt on with the kind of half bald brown skin dude. Now that's supposed to be DJ Pat right there, right? So man, this is crazy. And we can get rid of that first picture, but you see Migo Benz and Quavo with each other all the time. So that's what's leaving everybody believe that this guy, Willie Bland, that's mentioned in the indictment is Migo Benz. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue because it gets better from there. And y'all do me a favor, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all run them likes up. And for those of you who already hit that like button, you already know. Now it goes on to say the Affiant reviewed a lab report created by firearms examiner R. Hucano of the Houston Forensic Science Center, HFSC, which stated that all 9 of the 40 caliber casings had been fired from a single weapon and the 9mm casings from a different weapon. The video showed that a large black male identified as Willie Bland was one of the men firing the gun. However, the trajectory taken by any bullet fired from his location at the time of any given discharge was not consistent with the injury sustained to Kershnick Ball, aka Takeoff, given Ball's body positioning throughout the duration of the gunfire. So they're saying that Migo Benz, if that is Migo Benz, this guy Willie Bland, he couldn't have been the one who shot Takeoff. So those earlier reports that it was somebody from their own camp who shot him, forensics has already said that it was none of the bullets shot by Willie Bland's gun, the guy was there with Quavo, his right-hand man, hit Takeoff. None of those shots hit Takeoff at all. You know what I mean? So we can put that rumor to bed. Now it goes on to say that Affiant believes that the video evidence shows the following. A black male, later identified as Patrick Clark, date of birth August 4th, 1989, whom Affiant had previously developed as a possible suspect, pulled a gun and fired multiple rounds in the direction of the complainant seconds before the complainant collapsed to the ground. Now, the complainant in this case is Kershnick Ball, aka Takeoff. He's listed as a complainant. The state is acting on his behalf, to bring this to justice, right? Now, the video does not show any other individual shooting a firearm or positioning their bodies to shoot a firearm, raised in firing position from the same direction from which Clark was shooting on the video. So they got him on video dead center shooting the gun, right? We knew that. Now in the video, Clark can be seen discharging the firearm several times. Multiple muzzle flashes are visible. Clark then fled on foot around the nearby House of Blues, where he was captured on closer video surveillance. Clark then returned. Now this is DJ Pat, y'all. Clark is DJ Pat. Clark then returned briefly to the bowling alley, where he was again captured on interior surveillance before fleeing the scene. Much like they have in the O Block Rico case, they just use one camera to follow that person from place to place to place. They can spot where you go from this place, you dropped off, we see you on this camera footage, and they piece it all together like that. And obviously they did a good job on their behalf, of catching DJ Pat. If they got him dead, like on camera, like caught in 4K shooting his gun, and he's coming from the angle where he would have shot Takeoff, it's a done deal. I don't see how he's even going to fight this. Now, surveillance from inside the bowling alley showed that he was carrying a semi-automatic handgun when he went back inside. During the actual shooting, Clark was holding a wine bottle in one hand while he discharged the firearm with the other. Immediately after the shooting, Clark ran over by the House of Blues, where he set the wine bottle down and never came back for it. That was mistake number one. Yeah, for the punch, it didn't say. It didn't say who got punched. It just says that Willie Bland threw the punch. Now, this is where it's going to get tricky, because if he was also shooting, I wonder if they're going to be able to say self-defense, or he was shooting self-defense and maybe get a manslaughter case or something like that. We'll see. We'll see. Now, the aforementioned bottle, this is the bottle that DJ Pat put down on the ground, was collected into evidence during the initial scene investigation. So he left the bottle there that he was holding during the shooting.
Bruh.
Stop it. Get some help.
For real. So, all right, they weren't going to get that. You know what I'm saying? Why? What? Okay. So a fingerprint matching that of Patrick Clark with the same date of birth had been left on the wine bottle. Additionally, the affiant has compared the high-quality surveillance video recording from inside the bowling alley to a known picture of Patrick Clark and has confirmed that that is the same person. So basically, they got all the evidence they need, man. That's the simple way of saying this. Dude, they caught him with the gun, shooting the gun, yes, with the muzzles flash. They got all that on the camera. His movements from the House of Blues, from outside, and the wine bottle he was holding in his hand at the same time he was shooting.
Bruh.
I had to find the button. Case closed, right? We'll see how it plays out on court. Now, it continues to say that affiant and his partner interviewed Willie Bland, who admitted to firing a weapon at the scene, though he said he did not know the caliber of the weapon. Bland stated that he was part of a traveling group, including Takeoff, Quavo, and several other individuals, and stated that they were visiting local music producer Jazz Prince, which included going to a basketball game at a local gym and then going to the party at the bowling alley. Bland stated that he had seen the two males we had identified as Joshua and Watkins throughout the evening at both the basketball game and at the bowling alley, and that he had seen them with guns. Now, with that being said, he's trying to clear himself by saying that. Like the two times that he's seen them, he said, hey, both times I seen them, they had guns on them. You know what I'm saying? So I had every right to think that my life was in danger. He's kind of building his defense, if you guys see what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Now, he also basically is saying that they were hanging out with each other all day with Jazz Prince. And you could see in that video where they're riding through the city, they are with Jazz Prince. So I guess they went and played some basketball and all that. So Bland, and this is allegedly Migo Bands, continues by saying Bland stated that he was watching them both when Quavo was arguing with them just before the shooting. And as Quavo turned and walked away, he believed that Joshua said something and began pulling the gun. So he reached out and punched him. Okay, so that's who got punched first. So allegedly Migo Bands, or Bland in this case, punched Lil Cam first. So he even admitted it in this statement to the police that, yo, I punched him first because he was reaching. I thought he was grabbing a gun, is basically what he's saying. Now, Bland advised that he thought the males were about to try to rob Quavo. Now, what's crazy about that is they're the ones who hit Quavo's pockets, right? They got Quavo. The two dudes got Quavo for his bread, right? So I wonder why he would jump to the conclusion that they were going to rob him. Maybe he's just saying that to police. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
Now, Bland stated that he then shoved the other male while he saw him coming toward him and heard gunfire erupt around him. Bland stated that he believed it was probably Cameron Joshua shooting at him, so he began shooting at Cameron Joshua. Now, the affiant observed from his review of the video surveillance recordings described above that at the time the shooting appears to start, Joshua ran back inside the bowling alley and that he was armed with a handgun, but there is no video evidence showing him firing a gun. Now they're saying they only found shell casings from two weapons. So there were two weapons that they found shell casings from. And you could believe that it's probably Bland, aka Migo Band's weapon, or allegedly Migo Band's weapon, and DJ Pat. So it ends by saying this. It says the affiant knows from his scene investigation that 3 gunshots were fired into the bowling alley. Affiant believes these bullets are consistent with having been fired by Willie Bland. That's the guy who was with Quavo, based on his movements and position. In your affiant's opinion, these shots could not have caused the injuries to the deceased victim or the living victims due to the shooting angles, positions of the parties, and the complainant's injuries. In my opinion, the video evidence supports Bland's statement regarding his actions before, during, and after the shooting. So Bland's statement, the statement that he made, basically painted the picture for him, and the video evidence gave him the clue. So it looks like Quavo's homeboy, Migo Bands, this guy right here, allegedly, and this guy right here, the guy in the blue, teed off because he thought that Lil Kim was going to pull out on him. You know what I'm saying? Pause. He teed off immediately and pushed the other guy. So there's Lil Kim and another little dude. They were busting Quavo over the head, according to him, got him for his money, for a lot of money. And Quavo went out there to say something to him, and that's when everything went crazy, man. So when we see that video and there's all that ruckus and stuff, that's exactly what's going on. That's what it puts it, to put it in context. Now, what's crazy is that guy in the back there where you can see his face, that's supposed to be DJ Pat. He's the only other person who was shooting on camera. And Bland, or Migo Bands, the guy in the blue right here, he was the only other person shooting. Now, he was shooting back into the bowling alley and was shooting at Lil Cam as Lil Cam ran into the bowling alley. He ran back into the bowling alley. He already seen he had a gun and said, yo, I knew as soon as he got some space, he was probably going to start shooting. So he started shooting first, basically. You know what I mean? Or at least shoot at Lil Cam. And the DJ Pat, he just started shooting at Quavo and them's group, it sounds like. So this is crazy, man. It basically gives out that statement. Call it what you want. I know a lot of people going to say this is telling or whatever, but that basically painted the whole picture for what happened. That goes to show why probably Quavo's homeboy, Migo Bands, or Willie Bland did not get arrested, and why, they were able to put the pieces together so quickly. This is crazy, man. Now, hopefully you enjoyed that story, but do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I do one of these updates, and we out of here. Peace.